Welcome back to Autism Live. Very excited to have a wonderful guest here in the studio with us, Margalit Francus. Did I get anywhere close in there? How do you say
close.
it?
You got brownie points. It's Margalit Francus, but
Francus.
Yes.
Okay, I've got them reversed, but that's typical. I'm a little bit dyslexic, usually with numbers, but you know, sometimes with names. But we're thrilled that you're here. I was saying before, it seems to me that you are a connoisseur of good things and good living. You like to travel, and you have an entity called Autistic Globetrotting. But I also see that you are somebody who reviews products and reviews restaurants, and you look at things and say, these are the good things, and you can do this with individuals who are on the autism spectrum. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes. Definitely. I would say that I actually, people don't know, but I'm a trained dentist. That's so. How did I end up writing?
That's fascinating.
That is another story. But the thing is that after I had my kids, I have a son who's 24 now, and he's on the autistic spectrum. And I basically, after the initial digestion of the diagnosis, because we got it, I mean, we didn't know that he was on the spectrum till the age of 14.
Okay.
So we saw some strange behaviors, but we kept asking, what is this? And nobody told us.
So clearly he was verbal and he was going to school. So there were some things that were working okay, but others not so much.
Well, I mean, some worked okay eventually because he started talking at the age of 5.
Okay.
He went to school. He didn't have a personal aid, but he had some hardships basically when it came to socializing. Mm-hmm. And we did see some sensory issues, like chewing socks, chewing t-shirts, crying at the drop of a hat, but we just figured it's him. I mean, we didn't know what was going on, but that didn't mean that as a family, we basically didn't leave the house or go traveling. In fact, before I had kids, I told my husband, travel is something that I want to expose my kids to the world, so it's really important.
And so you continue to travel and adapted and learned, and now you want to share that with the world.
Definitely. Adapting is a wonderful word, because I just always, and I tell my readers that you should basically visualize your trip before you take it. So you think, okay, so what can go wrong? A, B, C, and have a plan. But it doesn't mean that you don't travel. I mean, things will go wrong. Things happen. They make really great Thanksgiving stories around the table when they go wrong. But the thing is that it doesn't mean that you don't travel.
Yeah.
And this is something that I think the message is really important to basically put it out there.
Absolutely, because I know I certainly went through a phase, and I know a lot of other moms who go through this phase where you become a shut-in, where I was afraid to go to the grocery store because of the tantrum that my son would have. And I was just recently having a conversation with somebody, and I said, it isn't just the tantrum, it becomes the fear of the tantrum. And you don't go places anymore. And you really, first of all, you lose out on all that educational experience with and for your child. But I think too, the rest of the world loses out on the experience of our kids.
Definitely, because we should expose our kids to everything, and the world should basically get to know our kids, because right now we're going through a phase that a lot of people are really afraid of people with autism, which is horrible, because you know, my kid basically, and I'm sure a lot of other kids out there basically are misunderstood. They're not going to sit and harm anybody, even if they cry in public, which we've had meltdowns. We've had meltdowns. My son basically broke down and started crying in the middle of Lisbon airport.
Oh, wow.
But it doesn't mean I'm not going to travel.
There you go.
The thing is,
so you've made up your mind.
You just do it.
Yeah. What would you say? Do you think that's the hardest moment that you ever experienced, the meltdown in Lisbon, or?
No, probably the meltdown on the airplane from Tel Aviv to London was worse because we were over Turkey and I was thinking, okay, they're going to land the plane in Turkey. So
Okay.
that was one of the breaking points. But still, the thing is, my kid has meltdowns at home. He'll have meltdowns when we travel and he doesn't get what he wants at that specific point, or he's very tired and exhausted. But the thing is, you still just go and live your life.
And so, but I'm so happy to hear you say that, because a lot of people are like, oh, I'll bet when she travels, her kid doesn't have problems. But you're on a plane. How many hours is that trip from Tel Aviv to London? It's a lot.
It was only 4.5 hours, but
Felt like an eternity?
time stopped on that plane, I can tell you that much. So you can figure 4.5 hours, his iPad is not working. And to make it better, his screen in front is frozen too. So he starts basically complaining to the staff, to the crew member, and he presses that button like crazy, and the staff was not very understanding. And actually, basically the purser comes and tells me to tell him not to press the button. So I said, look, I am so sorry, but you can basically just close the button or make it, defunct. But my son has autism, so he's frustrated and he's going to push that button.
Yeah.
And he starts crying and he starts raising his voice, and she is very non-understanding, shall we say.
Right.
And everybody's staring.
Yeah.
And people basically, a lady in the back of us starts crying with him. And it was so bad that my husband, who's usually used to this, basically like sunk his face down because he couldn't take it anymore. So I had a choice then to sit and face the audience.
Right.
Or deal with my kid. And I always tell parents, ignore everybody around you. Deal with the situation in front of you, which I did. Keep it together. I was shaking a little bit. I have to admit, this happened like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I basically had a calming medicine for my son.
Right.
I persuaded him to take it because he didn't want to take it. He calmed down. And then I asked the stewardess for basically a drink because I thought I needed it too.
Oh, there you go. But you survived it, and I think that that's an important point to make, that everybody survived it. Nothing ultimately bad happened. No. I love the ignoring the audience, because I love to say here on the show, other people's opinions of my parenting is none of my business, right? Because if you get caught up in that, like, what's everybody else thinking about me or my kid? Oh,
not important at that time.
It isn't.
Yeah.
And then focused on what you actually had control over, what you could do, getting him calm, getting yourself calm. You got our topic for today was getting yourself to a reinforcer, and you got to your beverage.
Well, there was nothing else. I was up in the air at 35,000
right,
exactly. Feet, so it's not like I was in my comfort zone. But
you were resourceful. You were resourceful.
Definitely. I figured, okay, I earned it.
And the truth of the matter is that as uncomfortable as it was, that steward or bursar or whoever it was probably learned something too of,
definitely.
Okay, somebody can be in the middle of an autistic meltdown and we can still have the flight continue safely. And here's what I did that wasn't helpful, and here's how I watched this mom deal with a situation, so that the next time she was dealing with that situation, she had less anxiety coming into it as well.
I hope so. I really hope so, because, well, she came back after the flight was over and thanked me. But yeah, I think that basically the people around should not really intercede. When you're in a moment of crisis like that with your child, you know them best, they need to let you deal with it, to calm down everything, and then they can basically, if they have 2 cents to put in, okay, they can put the 2 cents later.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I've been in situations before where I'm watching a situation, and I always say to everybody that I'm with, look away. And then if there's a pause, if I really feel like it's necessary, I have on a couple of occasions said, to the person, you're doing great. Is there anything I can do to help you? In a pause. And a couple of times I've had people say, yes, get this or do whatever. And I've run the errand or done whatever. But most of the time people have said, no, but thank you for asking and gone back to whatever. But I think that's it, you guys. That's like all we have at our disposal when we're watching somebody else go through it. Even if you have the most helpful advice in the world, not in that moment. But I love this idea of traveling. You say you've been to Tel Aviv, obviously you've been to London, Lisbon. Where all have you guys gone?
We've been to over 90 countries. I was born a traveler. I keep telling people that. My mother was literally 9 months pregnant when she left Bucharest, Romania, and took the train to go to Vienna, Austria. And basically, she asked if there was a doctor on the train, and she was assured, no, let's hope that you don't need it. And I was very polite. I waited till Vienna to be born.
Wow.
So I was basically in utero. I was already traveling. So
how funny is that?
I decided to basically expose my kids and make them global, basically, citizens. I mean, I think in today's world, you really should expose kids to different cultures, different religions, because I mean, we see a lot of intolerance basically nowadays, and I think it's very toxic. So raising my kids, our kids, basically to understand other cultures, other history of countries, religions was very important to me from the get-go. Before I had the kids, I knew I was going to do that.
Amazing. And I love that one of the posts that I saw that you did said, here are reasons why not to fly out of LAX if you can avoid it.
Yes, that's one of my, that's one of my latest posts. I'm not a negative person. I rarely, if you look on my website, I rarely have a post that's negative. Right. I really, sometimes if something is really bad, I'd rather not write about it than just like sit and basically write about it. I understand that travel has basically different aspects, but on the whole, it's the hospitality industry. So bringing them down and telling them how bad they are, it never really, is not good for anybody. But yeah, LAX is a problem. It is basically my airport that I travel in and out of. But yeah, it's, I mean, the officials there know, and they're working on it. There's just not enough money to.
But I appreciate the information, because the truth is that when you're close to LAX, you're close to 3 other airports. You really could get to 3 other airports if you chose to.
Somewhat. If you fly internationally, it's harder.
Okay, but if you have the choice, it's not like you said never fly out of LAX. It's just like, here are the issues, so that if you go to LAX, you're dealing with X, Y, and Z. And so that helps you to mitigate what would happen if you have to fly out of LAX.
Definitely.
And if I have the choice of flying out of LAX or going out of Burbank, and I've got a kid that's got issues, then sometimes it's less expensive to fly out of Burbank. Not always. Sometimes it's less expensive to fly out of LAX. But at least you get an informed opinion, which makes it possible you have an informed decision, which is great.
Definitely. I love Burbank Airport. Actually, I was there last month. Yes, the size, everything is more manageable. I really like it.
Yeah, well, just from a parking
that
aspect.
too, the parking, everything is just nicer.
Yes, I'm sorry that they just changed the name of it, though. I feel bad that it was the Bob Hope Airport forever, and I get it. It makes more sense. People know it's in Burbank, and but I loved that it was the Bob Hope Airport for a long time.
Just don't understand the Burbank Hollywood part, but because
is it Burbank Hollywood?
They called it Burbank Hollywood, which is like, okay, I mean, I don't get it, but yeah, Bob Hope was nicer,
Burbank Hollywood. Okay. For those of you who don't know, it's not that close to Hollywood. It's like calling it the Burbank Miami.
Or like Fort Lauderdale,
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale.
It's a little weird, but yeah.
Okay. Anyway, but so for people, we're out of time, but I want people to know, if they want to read the things that you write and see some of the products that you review, where should they go?
Definitely Autistic Globetrotting. The reason that I started reviewing products, because this is a new thing for the website. People know me as a travel blogger. They can watch videos. I have a video channel, a YouTube channel. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, but the blog posts are pretty much, you know, the more informational. I decided to go into lifestyle because I realized that a lot of parents don't know a lot of products. So if I see a product that is helpful basically to a person with autism, then I figured I should write about it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's how I got into that and into the movies and the restaurants and everything else. As we progressed basically, and our son right now is 24, it's a good idea to just go with him.
And so let me ask you this, if our viewers had questions, if they're getting ready to fly someplace and they'd love to have your opinion about, you know, airports as they're flying around the country, around the world, or if there are products that they want to know, can we have them write into us and forward it to you? And
Definitely.
you'll write back?
Of course. And they can also access the Facebook page, Autistic Globetrotting Facebook page, and also just contact me. It's free. I am not here basically to promote any specific product or to make money of it. I'm here to give advice and help the parents.
We love that.
So yeah, that's pretty much my project.
I bet you've got some good advice on dentists too, which is a whole other thing.
Well, as a former dentist, or yes.
Yeah. All right, we have to have you back on the show to talk about more things. But we thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having us.
And for shedding light on the fact that you can travel, and we should be traveling.
Yes.
It's an amazing, amazing opportunity.
Well, I just wanted to, if you're in the LA area, free museum day on the Sunday. Try it out. Take your kids out. I mean, what can happen? If they don't like it, it's free. You can just walk out. But definitely try it.
Almost all museums in the Los Angeles area are free that entire day. So if there's a museum that you've wanted to go to, but the cost was setting you back, go. It's going to be crowded. Be prepared, right?
A little bit, but I don't think it's that. I mean, it's that bad. If you haven't taken your kid to any museum, start with a smaller museum. It's more manageable. Okay. If you really want to see one of the best museums in LA, definitely the Science Center.